So we've been talking a little bit about the beginner instructions on meditation. And there were a few points that I wanted to add into this conversation. One might very well ask, is it absolutely necessary to progress in this way from coarser outer objects to more subtle outer objects when we're practicing meditation? And the answer is no. It's not absolutely necessary to progress in this way. Going from a stone to a bowl of water to a candle to a blowing flag and then to meditating on empty space. What one needs to do first is to check out what one's motivation is. This is the most important thing. Because for many people, it is the case that they merely need to find a bit of peace and tranquility in their life. They don't really need to become experts at meditation or attain higher levels of consciousness. They've got a busy, hectic life, and all they want to do is relax a bit and experience a bit of stillness in their life. Maybe their busy schedule and the troubles in life are making it difficult for them to sleep at night. And so meditation is something that can help with this. You don't have to have high goals of achieving awakening in order to meditate. So then, for this kind of individual, how do they need to practice? Well, really, what you need to do is find a suitable object, something that works for you. And as I said, then the different elements have different purposes. They benefit different types of challenges. It's not the same for everyone. So, for example, if you're the type of person who tends to feel very groggy and fall asleep in meditation, then meditating on the earth element, a stone or a bowl of sand or something like that, may not be the most efficacious thing for you. In fact, this will only make things worse. In general then, people who tend to fall asleep or very tamasic or heavy in their practice, then for them it's better to meditate on a candle. In fact, many people find a candle very relaxing to meditate on. Of course, if the flame is too bright, it might be irritating. And I've also noticed that people who have ADHD or tend to have a lot of thoughts, very sharp intellect, then they can be irritated by a candle. The light is slightly too intense for them. And it's not only the case that if you're feeling sluggish, kind of dull and foggy, that you can only meditate on a candle. Because meditating on the wind element is also useful to help you create some levity in your practice. So for example, if you're feeling quite oppressed or claustrophobic, then meditating, looking up the clouds, moving the sky, can help you to feel more open and relaxed. But it's difficult when meditating on the wind, because it's not always as if there is a breeze or a wind outside. And actually strong wind can have a very negative effect when you meditate on that. But simply, you can meditate on the smoke rising from a couple of pieces of incense. And as the disturbance in the air moves the smoke, then you have this sense of the element or the quality of the wind. But in general, it's difficult to meditate on the wind or the space element because there's nothing really tangible there to meditate on. Especially when it comes to the space element, then what we're meditating on is the idea that there is a certain amount of empty space in front of us. And this can be quite confusing, especially for beginner meditators. It's very hard to fix the mind on space or on wind. And it's much easier to fix the mind on something solid like a stone or on water, which is very apparent to us, and likewise on the flame of a candle. Of course, you don't have to meditate on a candle. You could meditate on an artificial light as well. That's absolutely fine. But again, if the goal of your meditation is to feel peaceful and relaxed, then really what you need to do is experiment with different objects. And then when you find one that resonates with you, then the best thing to do is to stick with that object. That means to meditate on that for a prolonged period of time. and not to change your meditative object too often. And as I said previously, then a very important point is not to try to do too much all at once. For example, don't try to meditate for 2 hours straight if you're a beginner. It's far more beneficial to meditate for short periods and often throughout the day. And the most effective time of day to start meditating is early in the morning. This is a well-known fact. They say that the energy is rising from about 3:30 in the morning. So if you can meditate quite early, and in general getting up early is good for your health, right? So if you start to meditate early, this will be a good excuse for you to develop this habit of getting up early and going to bed early. I think everyone agrees that this is something that is universally beneficial. Of course, there will be the odd exception, and some people just aren't able to do that. Well, that's fine as well. You might find that meditating before going to bed is beneficial for you. Again, it's something you have to check out for yourself and find out what is most useful and effective for your practice. Now, there's another very common reason to meditate that doesn't involve the spiritual path or any notion of transcendence. And that is meditating because one has insomnia or has difficulty sleeping. And I have to say that in general, then meditating on the breath is the most effective practice for dealing with insomnia. When we meditate on the breath, then naturally this has a calming effect on the body because it increases the amount of oxygen that goes into the blood. In fact, if you get up in the middle of the night and finding it difficult to sleep, then you should try for yourself. Try counting your breath, counting to 21. Sometimes the reason why we can't sleep is because we just think too much. There's a lot of thoughts in the mind. This tendency to think too much is associated with the air element. The wind element is associated with the movement of thought. But really, it's only by doing this practice yourself that you will gain experience and come to know what is best for you. Of course, if you have the ability to rely on a teacher, then through their skill and their own experience, they may be able to help you find a practice that is suitable for you. So in general, then at first, try to meditate for a short duration and meditate often as you can. In retreat, we do sessions, and that means we meditate either 4 or 6 times a day regularly. Of course, in retreat, then you're doing 2 or 3 hour sessions, and so your total time of meditation every day is something between 12 and 16 hours. But this just is not feasible for somebody who's got a busy, mundane working schedule, responsibilities, family, etc. And so it's very much a case of trying to find time that is suitable for you. And as I said before, then early in the morning is really good. If you have a family and you get up before everyone else, then this is an assured bit of quiet time. Also, late at night is quite a useful time to meditate. And really what we need to do is we need to change our normal worldly habits. For example, we spend an awful lot of time on our mobile apps or watching movies or TV. And if we were to use just a small amount of this time that we normally dedicate to social media, etc., then it's quite likely we could meditate 1 or 2 hours a day if you put all those sessions together. Let's say 4 sessions of half an hour a day totals to 2 hours in an entire day. And I think these days it's quite usual for people to spend up to 2 hours a day, maybe 2 hours a day minimum, on their social media and mobile apps. But it's the same with anything, right? Whether it's developing a habit for physical exercise, let's say going to the gym, swimming, or doing yoga, then at first we don't have good habits. We're used to doing things that aren't good for us. For example, we might like to smoke and drink, go out to the pub, or watch lots of movies. And we know these things aren't good for our body. Likewise, we have the taste for greasy or salty food, or sweet food. And so initially what we need to do is we need to break down these bad habits and transform these bad habits into good ones. Let's say I'm a little bit overweight and I really like sweet food, donuts and that sort of thing. And then what I have to do is I have to make this commitment to cut down on these unhealthy foods. And not only that, I have to start dedicating some of my time to sort of healthy activities like jogging or swimming. And it's the same with meditation. And primarily, meditation is about developing good habits that are beneficial for the mind. But although meditation is said to be for the mind, it is also beneficial for the body. And this is something that has been recently proven by scientific research into this modern phenomena of mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness isn't something that's just been discovered in recent times. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. But it's only recently that we've been able to clinically prove the benefits of meditation, or what people call mindfulness. What has been proven is our state of mind has a very strong effect on our physical well-being. And so, for example, stress is very damaging for the body, for the health in general, mental and physical. But also things like anger are very negative for one's own body. It's said that anger produces poison in the body. So the saliva of somebody who's very angry actually contains toxic chemicals. But this is what the Buddha taught over 2,000 years ago, that these negative emotions are like poisons. They are poisons in as much as they cause great harm to my body and mind here and now. But not only that, because they plant the seeds for the experiences of future suffering. And so, whether you're meditating just to find a bit of stillness and quiet in your life, to deal with trauma or stress, or if it's even just to help you deal with insomnia, then this is a completely valid motivation for practicing meditation. And not only that, but it is 100% certain that meditation will help you achieve your goal. Ultimately, then as a Buddhist, our motivation at very least is to seek liberation from samsara. And if we have the motivation of the Mahayana, then that is to achieve ultimate awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. But what we have to understand is that these are extremely difficult and high goals, and not easily achieved. And so, in the meantime, at least we can try to better ourselves. It is said that through our practice, seeking rebirth in higher realms, the realms of God and men. What does that mean? That means that in future lifetimes, to experience well-being is a valid motivation, because on the basis of achieving this state of well-being, we will be better set to practice the Dharma in future times. Essentially, if you're a Buddhist, then you have to hold the belief in past and future lives and karma cause and effect. And if you do believe in future lives, then the consequence is that you have plenty of time in order to reach your goal. And not only that, but it is impossible to practice if your mental health and your physical health is too poor, or if you're suffering intensely. You need a bare minimum level of comfort in order to get by and to engage in your practice. This is why it's taught that beings who are born in the lower realms do not have this precious opportunity to practice the Dharma. And that's because they're too afflicted by their suffering. So look after yourself, and also don't beat yourself up if you're not able to practice like a yogi of the past. The spiritual path is not easy, and it requires great diligence and dedication to your goals. But what is taught is that if you have the correct motivation, the correct intention, and then you apply yourself diligently, then 100%, step by step, eventually you will reach your goal. So remember this, there is the preparation for traveling the path, and there's the actual application of the methods that will lead to enlightenment. So prepare yourself well. Look after yourself and don't despair, and eventually you will reach your goal.